Taboo and Disability, episode number 2. Hi everyone, and welcome in the second episode of my series Taboos and Disabilities. I'm going to talk about how do I react, or what is the feeling I have or I feel as a disabled person when someone is looking at me, or when people look at me in general. So what do I think about society when society is looking at me? I think there is something I cannot change, is the fact that people look at me. So this is something I'm not going to say is normal, but yes, in a way, yes, it's normal that people look at me, because obviously we always look at something we never see or we've never experienced. And myself, to be honest, I also look at people. I also, when I discover something I've never seen before, I look. I used to do something is to make a huge difference between people who are looking at me, or children who are looking at me, which I found really normal and natural, and people really like deeply and curiously open their eyes on me. I think there is a big difference between those two kinds of behavior. I generally totally feel good with myself. I love, yes, it can sound a little bit arrogant, but no, it's nothing about arrogance. I like myself. I like the person I am. The fact is that I accept myself quite generally. I accept myself. So the fact I accept myself, I think it helps to accept that the others look at me. And it's just like when you like yourself, you will like the others. I think it's totally normal. It's just when you reject yourself, or when you reject a part of yourself, that you reject the others. Of course, I totally accept that people look at me when it's done in a gentle way, polite way. I traveled a lot in my life, so I faced many countries different, and I can see even that from one country to the other, from one culture to the other, it's very different. And I have also to accept that in some countries, looking like openly to someone is totally normal, and I have to accept that. But in my case, so I live in Belgium, in my case, to be honest, most of people look at me like some seconds, and maybe when I walk, maybe they turn on me to look at me, but I don't know, because I'm not focusing on what people are doing. I'm just focusing on my life, myself. And I like it when a child is looking at me and he says to his parents, "Mom, Dad, look at this woman, she doesn't have arms." And I like it. I think this is something I really appreciate, because for me, children are future adults, and if a child is curious about difference, it will make him a future open-minded human being like adults. And this is why sometimes I am very surprised that a child is looking at me, and his parents, so mom or dad, I can hear them tell to their child, "Don't look at her, stop looking at her." And this is for me, like, I can understand parents doing that, thinking they will hurt me or something by looking at me. But at the same time, I think it's not a good way to make your child a future open-minded person. I think saying to a child, don't do that or stop doing that when he's looking at a disabled person is absolutely something to avoid. I would prefer that the mother or the father saying to his child, yes, she doesn't have arms, that's the way it is. Some people have arms, some people have not. And just try to explain and just let this child looking at me as long as he or she wants, because this child is just discovering something he's never seen. So why telling him to stop discovering a difference? Children are the future. Children are future adults, and more children would be aware about disability, about difference in general. More society will begin to understand that yes, disabled people are just normal people. So how do I face, or how do I live the fact that people look at me when I enter a bus, when I enter any place? It's just that for me it's something totally normal, and this is why I'm doing those videos also. Otherwise I would just hide myself and never show me. It's because I'm very proud of my not disability, but my difference. I mean, I'm just someone living a different life on earth and trying to make it in the best way someone with a disability can do. So this is why I'm totally okay with people looking at me, or with people like you asking me questions. And in my life generally I've maybe had one or two really rude person, but it's really not something frequent. And she was really looking at me like she was a child, to be honest, but she was an adult. And some adults sometimes look at me strangely, surprisingly, and I think those adults were those child we said stop looking or don't look. Do you understand? Because when they were a child, they maybe never had some responses. When they become adults, as a result, they will become a child. So this is totally normal. When I see an adult looking at me with a really strange look, I cannot imagine that when he was a child he had parents that explained him that there were many differences in the world and that there were people with disabilities. Or maybe he just never seen disabled people, or maybe he saw it and he's the kind of child we said stop looking. So this is why for me, people who look at me in the street or wherever, I just generally smile to the person, or just don't really look at the person, because I'm walking in my way and I'm just looking where I have to go. And but generally I feel confident, and this is not something that really disturbs me. I hope that I respond to this question. Don't hesitate to ask me your questions. Bye bye.